How you doing, everybody? Welcome back. Stand focused for Jesus. Hope each and every one of you are having a blessed day in the Lord Jesus Christ, as always. I've been gone for a while. It's been about five days or something like that. Was getting caught up on some rest, some much needed rest, and been handling some business with the property. Had a few people look at it. First one kind of like fell through. The guy came out and looked at it, but he was focused on another property. So he said that if that deal didn't go through, then he may circle around, but we're not going to wait on him, obviously. We have another potential buyer, as we have two potential buyers, but one as of right now who wants to come and check the property out. So y'all make sure y'all say a prayer for your boy, say a prayer for all of us, that we can get this property sold at a fair price. Because the price that the guy submitted the first time, we're not gonna do that. We can do better right now. We can do better. Now, if the property sits for a while or too long, then they have some room for negotiation. But with the market the way it is and stuff like that, no. So patience. But let's go ahead and get into the sermon. As you see from the title of the video, it's titled something, peace is not a place, and heaven isn't how you think it is. Peace is not a place, and heaven isn't how you think it is. That's what I have in my notes. So that's what we're going to go with for right now. Peace isn't a place. It is within. A place can be peaceful, but it doesn't mean the place is peace. Peace isn't a place. It is within. A place can be peaceful, but it doesn't mean the place is peace. If this is the case, then why, if a person brings war, the place is no longer at a peaceful state? Just because a place is at peace doesn't mean that place is the place of peace. You cannot rely on places and things for your peace, which is what people do. Your house can be a place of peace, but if somebody comes there and they cause chaos, is your house still peaceful? If somebody comes to your, or let's say your house burns down, catches on fire. If your sanctity and your peace was primarily attached to that place, then when the house burns down, then your peace is gone, right? You see what I'm saying? When you have peace within, then no matter the outward circumstances, you will always be at peace for eternity. And the reason I worded it that way is because sometimes we can have a unrest in our spirit or in our soul, but it doesn't mean that we are moved away from peace. This is like a house that's built on a solid foundation. If a storm comes, the storm is still going to shake the house, right? But the house is not going to be moved. If an earthquake comes, the house is still going to be affected by the earthquake some type of way, right? But if that house is founded and rooted and grounded on the rock, which is Christ, when that earthquake comes or when that storm comes, it'll feel it, it'll rock and everything, but it will not be moved. So it's the same way with us. No matter our outward circumstances, we will always be at peace for eternity because we have the eternal peace of God within us, which is the gospel of Christ himself, his doctrine, because he is the word manifested in the flesh. When we are born into this world, we are at war within ourselves. Our true self wants to be free and have righteous authority, but our flesh self is in control and power. That's why when you are born again, you become a new man or a new woman. Old things are put away. But because you're still in this body, this is one reason why we get a new body. Because you are still in this body, you still deal with things the old man or old woman wants to do. So the old man or old woman, they're at war. Even though the old man or old woman is dead, they're still at war because they want to suck the life out of the living you to empower themselves to rise from the ashes and do stupid stuff. That's why Paul said, I go to do good, but evil is always there. He was talking about himself. His old man was always there, wanting to do stupid stuff or say something. So, when you're born into this world, that war is going on. It's in your DNA. Because it's passed down all the way from Adam and Eve, all the way down to us. And then, our children. Our job as parents, our job as leaders, whether you are a man or a woman, is to do exactly that. Lead the people. Don't make it harder for them. If you are a leader, then you're going to take on the brunt of things. I'm looking for the right word, but y'all know. You probably fill in the blanks for me. If you have children and you have, nieces and nephews, you understand that. You don't want to make it harder for them. You want to make it easier for them. They're already going to have enough struggles to deal with on their own, let alone you piling it on top of them. And this is the realization that I came to with most of us. When we were awakened or starting to be woke and see what was really going on, but when we were really awakened, no apostrophes, or I should say apostrophes, hyphens, quotation marks, we started to realize why it was so hard for us. Because you had the generation of your parents, their parents, and sometimes even going back a whole bunch of generations, all that ends up being piled on you. All of it ends up being piled on you. And you wonder why it's hard for our people to come out of different things, certain things. Because the curses that are upon our people as a whole and families as a whole. Because you got to remember, these spirits, unclean spirits, these people that they are in control of, it's almost like, this is not almost like, but it's like their inheritance. It's like, hey, you promised me this family so I can go in and out who I want to and manipulate them how I want to and bring forth fruit of unrighteousness. And so that's why these spirits, these unclean spirits, make sure I be specific, they don't want to relinquish power. They don't want to relinquish power. They don't want to relinquish power of a person. They don't want to relinquish power of the dogs, the family dog, the family pets. They don't want to relinquish power of the house. They don't want to relinquish power of the land, the children, nothing. Because those are the vessels that they are living through. And then they extend their family by going out and sinning or having children and stuff like that. And those children, because they go out and the person marries somebody else, right? Now, those family members are now also a part of that. So now they try to come in, they try to influence them to relinquish control so the unclean spirit can have more control over them also and cause more havoc and more power. Because now this extended family, they're doing sacrifices to their God or these unclean spirits that are perpetrating themselves as these gods. But these unclean spirits, they have a God assigned to them. So when these people are paying homage to these unclean spirits, ultimately they're paying homage to these unclean gods, these fallen ones. Because the lower pays homage, pays respect to the higher, right? So you got the family and everything. They're paying homage, doing sacrifices and everything to these unclean spirits, which is what the Bible says. Like, you worshiping unclean spirits, you're not even worshiping the gods. And then the unclean spirits, they take these sacrifices to their gods that they pay homage to, that they bow down and worship. And then, going on all the way up to who we know, Lucifer. I do want to make sure I plug this, because this is an issue. It's a big issue. You have many people who are preaching the word of God, but they're not giving any proper interpretation of the word of God. So when we look at the word interpretation, it tells us interpretation is a translated text, explanation, exposition, to explain, expound, to help one understand, expound the meaning of, render clear or explicit. Now the word tells us this: we have also a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto ye do well that ye take heed, as unto a light that shineth in a dark place, until the day dawn and the day star arise in your hearts. Knowing this first, that no prophecy of the scripture is of any private interpretation. For the prophecy came not in old time by the will of man, but holy men of God spake as they were moved by the Holy Ghost. This sermon I literally put together today. The only reason I haven't already gotten it out was because I was handling some business. I moved and I'm speaking. I'm moving and speaking as I'm moved by the Holy Ghost. And here I am making a sermon. But the interpretation of the sermon that I'm giving isn't from private interpretation, meaning within self. I didn't sit down and, okay, in my limited wisdom, I'm going to put this sermon together. I'm not going to rely on God. I'm not going to rely on the Holy Spirit to give me the things that He wants me to speak. They want me to speak, the Godhead. This is the understanding of private interpretation. And this is where the confusion comes in, there, because people are giving private interpretation. They're not supping, and I'm getting ahead of myself, they're not supping with the Father. They're not supping with Christ. They're not supping with the Holy Spirit. They're not eating at the table of the Godhead. They're eating at the table and ain't nobody there except themselves and their imaginary friends or some unclean spirits. But mostly, they're eating at a table amongst themselves with imaginary friends that are telling them what they want to hear. Interpretation of the scriptures comes by communing and supping with God in His presence. Now we know that we can commune, and I'm going in the private, in my private place, your prayer closet, or whatever you want to call it. But are you there by yourself? No. Are you there by yourself? No. If the Spirit is always within you, He said, where two or more are gathered in my name, I'm there. One is you, and the other one is the Holy Spirit. So He's there. So you're supping with God. You're supping in the presence of God, even when you are in your private chamber or your private time. When you're reading the scriptures by yourself, you're not reading them and saying, in my limited mind, I'm going to figure this out. No, you go, okay, hey, I need some help, Lord. Let me show you. Oh, okay. It is not contemplating, it is not contemplating strictly within yourself and concluding the interpretation based on limited wisdom. Do we begin again to commend ourselves? Or need we, as some others, epistles of commendation to you, or letters of commendation from you? I want to pause right there. Let me make this connection. We gotta lay out. Y'all know how we do, but for those who don't know, we lay a solid foundation and then we build up. We don't build up and then then come back and try to check the foundation. No, we're doing everything to code. See, I told you I was deeper than real estate, didn't I? When you're in real estate, you can do it the wrong way. But when you're talking about some people that got some money, wanting to cut a check, and you want them to cut a check, they going to ask the right questions. Is electrical done? Is this done? And you should already be up on your game. Electrical done. We got permits. We got permits. We got permits. We got permits. Everything to code. City came out. You can pull the records. We say, check the records. Check the resume. Because they don't want to buy a house unless they're trying to do some shady stuff. What's going to end up costing them more money in the long run. You see what I'm saying? So this is what we're doing. We're setting a solid foundation. We're doing things to code, to the code of God. So that when they come and they pull those permits, oh, okay, everything good. They can't say nothing. They can try to. Yeah, I don't like the windows. You ain't gotta like it. We can change the windows out. I bet everything else good. I bet the foundation is good. I bet the windows won't fall out. I bet the house is livable. I bet ain't no crazy stuff going on. I bet the electrical is up to date. I bet the plumbing is up to date. You see what I'm saying? I told y'all this is deeper than real estate. So, hold on. I'm here, I'm recording. Just letting you know.
What?
I said I'm here, I'm recording. Just letting you know.
Okay.
Don't lock the door.
I'm not locking the door.
I'm saying it's open.
Okay.
Where was I at? Yeah. People are looking for missing Bible books, or they allegedly. These books are missing from the Bible. And I mentioned this, it's been a while since I mentioned this. If there are missing books from the Bible, do you know what they are? Do you know where they are? They're in the world. They say, okay, yeah, of course they are. They are the people, the lost sheep of the house of Israel, the other sheep from another fold, the Gentiles that he said that he was going to graft in. These are the lost books of the Bible. If there are any lost books of the Bible, it's the people. So y'all get so focused on these books and this and that and this and that. Oh my God. That what good does it do if you're not reaching the people who are lost? You have all this knowledge, all this wisdom, all this understanding, but you have not charity. The charity, what moves you to reach the people with the knowledge, with the wisdom, and with the understanding. The charity that I have is what has moved me to do real estate. I ain't got to do real estate. I'm straight. I got an online business where I sell stuff. I sell books. And I can buy a book for 15 cents and sell it for $1 or more. I got a clothing line. My wife got a store where she does like diploma and certificate repairs. Like, for example, we had a person, there was a doctor, and they lost their, doctorate stuff in the fire. My wife remade it for them. And she got paid pretty good for it. We can continue to build that. We can continue to build that. She's been doing pretty good in sales. And she started from scratch. All I did was plant the seed. Plant the seed, water, and God does the increase. Now, granted, sometimes, hey, money be looking funny. Money may be looking funny right now. Maybe it is, maybe it ain't. But the point is, I can continue doing that. But it's the charity that's within me that was convicted because I have the power to do more. I told y'all the story. I'm not going to go into detail because it's going to already be a lengthy sermon. But I just couldn't sit around. I'm going to touch on it because there's a scripture that comes to my mind that I know it's in my notes. I just couldn't sit around and, just like, I just couldn't. And it's in me to do more. And so here I am. So it goes on and says, ye are our epistle written in our hearts. Ye are our letters written in our hearts, known and read of all men. You want to know what the books of the Bible are at? It's not just 66 books. Are you bringing in a new doctrine? No, I'm bringing in doctrine of the scriptures. It's not just protons, neutrons, and electrons. There's other ones, if you know where to look. So yeah, we have the collective together known as the Holy Bible, the 66 books. But there are other books that testify of what the 66 texts testify, which is us. Just as it said about Christ. We have the 66, but it tells us that, hey, if it was written that everything that Christ did, the world would not be able to contain it. But what we do have is written for your edification, written for your learning. So you have the 66 and then you have the people. So if you want to go find the lost books of the Bible, then go find the lost people. But how you going to find the lost people when you lost? Because you don't even believe. For as much as ye are manifestly declared to be the epistles of Christ, ministered, the epistles of Christ, the letters of Christ, the books of Christ, that are what? That are manifested. You see, we're here manifested in this physical, but our life was already written in the heavens. For as much as ye are manifestly declared to be the epistle of Christ, ministered by us, written not with ink. It ain't written like it's written with the law. It's written with what? But with the Spirit of the living God, not in tables of stone, but in fleshly tables of the heart, living. Written in there. Or right here, it ain't really right here, it's in the middle. But now I want to look at the word translate. Translate means to remove from one place to another. Also, to turn from one language to another. To turn from one language to another. But y'all argue about languages. Can't say Jesus, can't say Christ, even though we speak the English language. You say Jesus Christ in the English language, I don't care if it's the real Jesus or the fake Jesus. People know who you're talking about. To turn from one language to another, carried over. So you're going to carry it over from one language to another language, right? Or you're going to carry it over from one place to another place. We have been translated. We were carried from one place to another, from the heavenly place to the earthly place. And now we speak in that language of the earth. Y'all ready for this? When Paul went to the third, what we call the third heaven, what did he come back and say? Oh, I love this. I love this. What did he say? He said there were things in heaven that was said that he was not even permitted to speak in the earthly realm. There were words, there were languages that were spoken, things that were said that he could not say in the earthly realm. He couldn't come back and speak it in this tongue that they were speaking it in, and that language at that time, because it was unlawful for him. He would have been guilty of speaking it. You can't translate this for them. They ain't ready for it. I wonder what he said. So you get so focused on that and you ain't focused on what's right in front of you. You ain't focused on repent and believe the gospel. Carried over from trans, which is across or beyond, we would say beyond the River Jordan, right? And then the last part is to born, carried. Just like a baby is translated from the father to the mother, and it comes through the womb, the birth canal, just like a ship goes through the birth canal. But I think it's spelled Berth, if I'm not mistaken. Translated from one place to another, removed from one place to another, removed from the father's womb, the thing that hangs, into another type of womb. You ever notice that the scrotum, we call balls, what are they shaped like? Eggs. Go look it up. They're shaped like eggs. You ever notice, you ever study the female anatomy? When you look at the fallopian tube and it goes up and then it goes up like that and it comes down, it curls. Some of you know what I'm talking about, but I'm going to break it down to you real fast. What does it look like? A bull. What does it look like? It look like the bull, because that's what they worship. Fertility. Because through that, that's why they worship the woman. They exalt the woman over the man. That's what Satan's tactic was, to get Eve to do what she did, to get Adam to do what he did, and therefore putting things out of whack. Putting the feminine over the masculine. Why does the fallopian tube with the fallopian tube would be up here in the canal? But y'all know, I ain't finna get into all that, because I know some people may get a little bit uncomfortable. This ain't that type of video, but I gotta speak on it. Why does it look like that? Why I got the eggs at the end? God works in patterns, don't he? Why does a walnut look like the brain? Why are walnuts specifically known to be good brain food? Giving thanks unto the Father, which hath made us meet to be partakers of the inheritance of the saints in light, who have delivered us from the power of darkness, and now translated us into the kingdom of his dear Son. He removed us from one place and took us somewhere else, being birth, in whom we have redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sins. By faith Enoch was translated, that he should not see death, and was not found, because God had translated him. For before his translation, he had this testimony that he pleased God. So you talk about the rapture or the catching away. The Bible's telling you that it's biblical. If you're taken from one place to another place, rather instantaneously or whatever, you translate it in the context we see. Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you, I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. And whither I go, ye know, and the way ye know. So he said, where I go, the way you know, and you know where I'm going. You know where I'm at. You know where I stay. You know what I'm doing. He said, I go to prepare a place for you. In my Father's house are many mansions. And we know the word speaks about a new heaven and a new earth. But we must ask ourselves, why do we need a new heaven and a new earth? Why we just can't use the one we got? Many reasons. One being that he said that the heavens are dirty, they're filthy before him. The heavens are dirty and filthy before him. How they get dirty? Unrighteousness, sin. So there are things going on in the heavenly realms above the heaven that we are in that are dirty. That includes the first heaven, which, here on earth. That includes the second heaven, and that would include the third heaven. And where I go, ye know, and the way you know. Thomas saith unto him, Lord, we know not whither thou goest, and how can we know the way? Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. So we know the way. If you know the way, and you know the way to get there, and you know where the way is going, that means that you can go that way to get to where Jesus is. Right now we can do it spiritually. Sometimes it can be physical. And the disciples came and said unto him, Why speakest thou unto them in parables? He answered and said unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. The what? The mysteries. So why is it that they don't understand these things? They speak about these things? Because it's not given to them to understand these things. It's given to us. And notice he speaks about the kingdom of heaven. The reason I say that is because we go to our next scripture. He doesn't say the kingdom of heaven. Guess what he says? The kingdom of God. You can't have the kingdom of God without having the kingdom of heaven. You can't have the kingdom of God without having the kingdom of heaven. Yeah, did I say that right? You can't have one without the other. Make it simple. And when you receive one, you receive the other. And when he was alone, they that were about him with the 12 asked of him the parable. And he said unto them, Unto you it is given to know the mystery of the kingdom of God. So it's given to us to know the mystery or the mysteries of the kingdom of God and of the kingdom of heaven. But unto them that are without, all these things are done in parables, that seeing they may see and not perceive, and hearing they may hear and not understand, lest at any time they should be converted and their sins should be forgiven them. And he said unto them, Know ye not this parable? And how then will ye know all parables? So when you understand this parable, then it's going to help you to understand the rest of the parables. If you don't understand this parable, then you're not really going to understand the rest of the parables. Which means you're not going to understand the kingdom of God. You're not going to understand the kingdom of heaven and these different things that are going on. So let's get into it. The sower soweth the word. And these are they by the wayside where the word is sown. But when they have heard, Satan cometh immediately and taketh away the word that was sown in their hearts. I mean, that speaks plain as day to me. And these are they likewise which are sown on stony ground, who, when they have heard the word, immediately receive it with gladness, and have no root in themselves. Who's the root? And so endure but for a time, they fall away. Afterward, when affliction or persecution ariseth for the word's sake, immediately they are offended, which is exactly what's going on right now. They are offended. Oh, I gotta take it because I don't want to lose my job and this and that. But they profess to be believers all this time. And these are they which are sown among thorns, such as hear the word. These are a lot of your false prophets and stuff. And the cares of this world, and the deceitfulness of riches, and the lust of other things entering in, choke the word, and it becometh unfruitful. You ever seen a person that was getting it? You wonder, man, what happened to them? What happened to them? And these are they which are sown on good ground, such as hear the word, and receive it, and bring forth fruit, some 30-fold, some 60, and some 100. And he said unto them, is a candle brought to be put under a bushel or under a bed, and not to be set on a candlestick? For there is nothing hid which should not be manifested, neither was anything kept secret, but that it should come abroad. If any man hear, excuse me, if any man have ears to hear, let him hear. And he said unto them, take heed what ye hear. With what measure ye mete, it shall be measured to you. So with what measure ye measure of hearing, it will be measured to you. And unto you that hear shall more be given. So what is he telling us? Y'all got to bear with me because it's about to get dark. But I got started kind of late because I was handling some business. So y'all bear with me. You don't need to see me anyway. You know what I look like. You didn't see me 1,000 times. You didn't see me enough. Listen to the words, which is more important. So he's saying, be careful. This is why I tell y'all this stuff. I don't just be saying just to say it. The more you hear, the more you are responsible for what you hear and doing something with it. I told y'all, I want to be in the Hall of Faith. I want to go down as one of the greats of my time. That's just me. Some people are just satisfied with making it in. What are you? Where you at? I ain't saying that you ain't supposed to be bringing forth no fruit, because that's like you being in the NBA and you in the game, you ain't putting up no points. You're telling you, man, come on now. You got some bad games, you may have a bad year, but bro, you had a whole bad career. Like, for real? I don't know how you even got in. Like, is you supposed to be here? But remember what the word tells us, that they were among us, but they were not of us. But they were made manifest that they were never of us in the first place. So, like I tell you, again, be careful. You want all this knowledge, all this wisdom, all this understanding. You want all this power. You want the money, you want everything to come, you want everything, right? But then when you get it, you don't do anything with it. You ain't bringing no return on investment. You taking loss of a loss, like the loss of the loss, and you think somebody want to keep on investing in you. Me and a brother in Christ were talking about the other day, we ain't in no real estate to take no losses. Now we'll break even. And if push comes to shove, I'll take a loss on the personal end, but I know I'll get it back on the back end, on another deal or whatever. But I'm not going into it to take a loss. No, we don't do that. And so you grow, because there are things Now I'm doing real estate now. I'm like, man, I didn't do a good job on that. I didn't do a good job. But guess what? Am I going to regress on the next property? Lord willing? He blesses me with the next one to do? No. Will there be mistakes? Will there be things that I can do better? Of course there will be. But I'm going to do them better. I'm going in the mindset already. I'm going to do better right now. I'm not going to wait. I'm doing better right now. So when I get there, by the grace of God, then my mindset is already here. Everything is here. So you have a cup, and they're pouring you half a cup. You say, give me a half a cup. You're expected to drink it. That's what you asked for. No, just let me get a fifth. You're expected to drink it. That's what you asked for. The measure that you're asking for is the measure that God has given you, and you're expecting to bring a return on it, because he said it shall be measured to you. So you're only going to be measured by what you have asked. But yet, even if you have not asked for a lot, you're still expected to do what you're supposed to do with what you have already been given. It shall be measured to you. And unto you that hear shall what? Shall more be given. So you're hearing. Let me sit next to you, Lord, and hear what you're talking about. Okay, you're hearing, you're receiving. Now you're expected to be responsible with it and for it. And if you do hear, then he's going to bless you anyway, just because you were listening. You ever were just listening, you were like, you weren't necessarily looking for a blessing. You just like, I'm just here to learn. Hey, and then you end up getting a bigger blessing than you expected. Like, whoa, where's it come from? Because God sees you. He sees you. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. I want you to really think about that. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. The kingdom of heaven, that's not talking about heaven on earth, or necessarily second heaven. That's talking about the realm that we know about where Christ dwells, that there was violence. I'm going to show you, and y'all can say what, receive it how you want to. Satan, let me back up, let me break it down. We know there's war, we know there's war in heaven. In the realm of, say, God's city, it's pretty peaceful. But there's still tension going on because Satan still has access to that realm to accuse us before God. And there was violence even in the city, once the city of God. It's interesting because when a lot of people have visions, they have these visions of, oh my God, I saw heaven, it was so beautiful, and this and that, this and that. I ain't saying it ain't beautiful. But the word of God is telling us that there was violence in heaven. And when we look at the bigger picture, if there was violence in heaven, and there was warring and there was fighting, then that would mean that there's damage to certain places. Well, a person may say, well, it's not talking about physical violence. Well, that's not what the word is saying. Everything that happens on earth happens in the heavenly realm first, right? So I ain't saying the city of God is like just run down and stuff like that. But I'm saying it ain't how it used to be. I'm going to show you from the scriptures. Like I said, y'all can take this how you want to, but obviously take it before the Lord. That Satan, you know what he did? He sat on God's throne, more specifically Christ's throne, in the heavenly realm when he wasn't supposed to, declaring himself as God, sitting there as God. See, people have this notion that, oh, God is always sitting on his throne. He's always sitting on his throne, regardless if he is he in the kitchen cooking up a meal. He's still sitting on the throne. He's still king. He ain't just sitting there like an idol, not doing nothing. If he walking and he going on the clouds and stuff like that, folk on the clouds and riding the cherubim, that mean he doing stuff. He said he created all things for his pleasure. So he ain't just always sitting on the throne like people think, 24/7, 365. But yet, even though he isn't, he still is 24/7, 365, sitting on the throne. If you get what I'm saying. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? Fell from heaven. Now, a lot of people, when they think about that, the first thing they think about the third heaven. You know what this is specifically talking about? I ain't saying that he didn't fall from the third heaven, because obviously we know that's where he came from. He fell multiple times through multiple dimensions. But this is more specifically talking about when he was, at the time, a ruler over the pre-Adamic earth age. And he fell. Because at that time, he was supposed to be like a John the Baptist of his day, paving the way for Christ. And he didn't do that. He did not do that. And we're going to look at some of that in the scriptures. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? Cut down to the ground like a what? Like a tree. Remember, it references Lucifer as he was a tree in the garden. He was this great, big, gigantic tree. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. Okay. I will exalt my throne. My throne. A king has a throne. Above the stars of God, or the angels of God, the messengers of God, or the other gods that God put in their positions. So, hey, he's down here because he didn't fail. But hey, I'm going back. I'm going to go back up through them. And I'm going to go all the way back up here. I'm going to go past God. Because he was like on the cherub. He was, the way that you had to look at it is, you got God sitting on his throne, but Satan was like up here. He was like above God, but not in the sense like him being above God in power. But he was like part of his army. So he's looking, he's like, on alert. Satan was like the top dog, as we would say, in regards to defender of God, the defender of Christ. And God allowed him to be in that position as anointed cherub. Wasn't that he was like over God, but he literally took it like, hey, I'm above God, so I'm above, I'm literally above God. But God's like, I put you there. I put you there so you can see, so you can protect me. That's your job. But Satan took it as like, well, I'm literally above you, so that means I'm literally above you. Think about Moses. Pharaoh had more authority than Moses, or it seemed. What did God say? God said that he made Moses a god unto Pharaoh, and then Pharaoh realized that, oh my God, I thought I was more powerful than Moses, but Moses is more powerful than me. Yet Moses wasn't sitting in the position that Pharaoh was. You see what I'm saying? So He was the anointed cherub like that, in the sense of like he's up here, he can see everything, just as you know, God sees everything. You know, according to how much God allowed him to see. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation, the mount of the church. I mean, he gonna marry within the church. I did a sermon on that, showing y'all that. In the sides of the north. I will ascend what? Above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Well, if you're ascending above the heights of the clouds, you have to be below the clouds. And that makes sense if the scripture talking about God will cut him down like a tree. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. What do you mean you will be like the Most High? I will be a savior. I'm going to be like Christ. Because he knew the story, he knew the gospel. Oh, I fell, I'm gonna rise from the dead just like he did. And get back to the position that I once was in. Let me add this before I go forth. People don't realize, some people do, but most don't realize that God was very gracious to Satan. And when you see that with the rest of the scriptures, I should say, when you tie it together with the rest of the scriptures, you do see that. God said where sin abounded, grace abounded more. So God was extremely gracious to Satan. And there was a period where there was forgiveness available to Satan. But he kept on doing the same old. He kept on. And how we know this? Well, when you read the story about Adam and Eve in the garden and the serpent there, he was not stripped of all his glory. He wasn't stripped of his glory. He was still glorious. He still has some type of glory. He wasn't in the same position. He wasn't in the same rank that he used to be. But he was still covered in the sense of, hey, he still got power now. Remember when Michael went up against him, the Lord rebuked you. He didn't go back and forth and tongue wrestle with the devil. This is Michael. He didn't tongue wrestle with the devil. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to prove it to you from the scriptures. So it goes on and says, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the angel? That's not what it says. It says, is this the man? Speaking about Lucifer, Satan. Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? This dude right here? This man? Really? That made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prison. So they're asking this question. This is him? Y'all was afraid of him? Y'all can't see my face. Hold on. Y'all know I'm animated. Him? So Satan's fall not only happened before everything really popped off, but it really happened because God already knew back when he was a type of John the Baptist. Now I say it because it just makes it easier to understand. A type of John the Baptist of his day. Remember that Satan was a priest of Israel. And the only way you can be a priest of Israel, or I should say, the only way you could have been a priest is how? If you were of the lineage of Israel. This is when the Mormons speak about, oh, Satan was Lucifer. I'm about to say Satan was Lucifer's brother, but when they say Lucifer was Jesus' brother, that's a partially true statement. They were brothers because Christ seen him as his brother. Who am I? Who is my mother? Who are my brothers? Those that do the will of the Father. So at one point in time, Lucifer, he was doing the will of the Father. But then, he did what he did. So Christ no longer saw him as family. You see that in the story of Judas Iscariot. Judas Iscariot is the story of Lucifer, Satan. He was his right-hand man. I'm going to give you the money because that's what you really want. Judas Iscariot had a powerful position. He was the original dang apostle. He was one of the original 12. But do we consider that today? Not really. People talk about it, but you don't really think about it. When you think about the 12 apostles, you don't mention Judas Iscariot for real. Like, oh yeah, the original 12 were these right here. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, and by our gathering together unto him, that ye be not soon shaken in mind. Are you troubled? Why you don't have peace? Or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter as from us. So people were writing false letters. They were writing false. They had false, what we consider Bibles back then. As that the day of Christ is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, which is what we're seeing, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, is deeper than face value for those who know, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God, what? Sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. This is the abomination of desolation. This ain't talking about no third temple, y'all, being built. That's not the focus of this scripture. The focus of the scripture is him sitting in the temple of God, in the Holy of Holies, a body. Our bodies are the temple of God. And showing himself that he is God, showing himself that he is the Messiah, he is the anointed one. Well, hold on now. Because if he's sitting in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God, but he's really not, because he don't have the authority anymore to be like God, then that's interesting. Why? Because I stated it earlier. Everything that happens here on earth is a shadow, a pattern of something that happened in the heavenly realm. So if Satan, the son of perdition, sits in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God in the earthly realm, then that means that he did it in the heavenly realm. So I mean, Satan sat on God's throne. Why didn't God do anything about it? Oh, he did. You don't think that God knew? Now, you may want more details. I ain't finna give you all the details in this video. Go study it for yourself. I'll give you the deeper details in another video, and I'll give you some more details in this video. Because I know you're trying to put the pieces together in your mind like, whoa. But I'm going to prove the statement to you. So, and after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself, and the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. And the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined. And he shall confirm the covenant. Now listen, he shall confirm the covenant. So he's confirming the covenant, Antichrist, with, many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation. And that determined shall be poured out, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. The consummation of what? Christ with his bride. The inheritance. And the king shall do according to his will. This is speaking about who we call the Antichrist. And he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelously things, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. For that is determined, that is determined shall be done. Listen to this. Neither shall he regard the God, capital G, of his fathers. Huh? Neither shall he, the Antichrist, regard the God, the Most High, of his fathers, the God of his fathers. So the God of his fathers is the God that we serve. So his fathers are the Israelites, which shows and tells you that Satan is going to lay hold and say that, hey, I'm an Israelite, and that means that he knows who the true Israelites are. He wants to rule over true Israel. And if we know that true Israel is black, what we call black, that means that the Antichrist is going to be what? Oh, he might be mixed. If he mixed, he's still going to be considered black. Like, I'm going to share with y'all a great revelation. Not really a great revelation, but I'm going to share a great piece to help you understand this. I need to go ahead and do that video. You remember the Finkelstein interview? He was talking about McDonald's and stuff like that. He mentioned something about black people. He made a connection with the black people and Satan. He paused. And you could tell, you could discern that he was careful in how he said what he said. I forgot what he said specifically, but some of you know what I'm talking about. But what he said, he said like, yeah, the black people, a lot of the black people, they was with Satan before all this. He like going into too much detail, but he said something deep. And I say that because when you study what's known as antediluvian, which is the people who were before this earth age, the people before Adam, what we call the pre-Adamic people. All the historical records, I'm not going to say all of them, but the ones that matter, most of them, they always speak about, and this is common knowledge among those who study this, that the people who were what we consider antediluvian, however you want to say it, pre-Adamic, they were black. They know this. People like Finkelstein, they know this. They know what's up. The Pope knows it. The Black Madonna and everything. The people say that, oh, that's Christ. No, it's not. That's their Christ. Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers. The God, the Most High of his fathers. It didn't say lowercase g. Nor the desire of women, nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all. But in his estate shall he honor the God of forces. In his estate. So he's gonna act like he's honoring the God of the forces, the elements and stuff like that. Oh yeah, God made all this. But it's all a show. And then it says, and a God whom his fathers, we just said, his fathers was the ones that was the God. I mean, his fathers were the ones who served the true God, the Most High. That's our ancestors. Spaghetti-O, give you even more proof that the Antichrist is going to be what we call a black man. Or he gonna look Indian. Have you seen Indians? Have you studied where the Indian people came from? I ain't talking about Native American. I'm talking about the Indians in India. Some of them folks are darker than me. Black is a descriptive term. White is a descriptive term. They're not racist. They're made to be racist today, but it's not legally and lawfully. It's not a race. But in his estate shall he honor the God of forces, and a God whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold and silver, and with precious stones and pleasant things. They're like, who is this God? So we need to understand what this covenant is, because it says that he shall. Let's go back up. Where is it at? He shall confirm, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. That 1 week alludes to Daniel's 70th week, what you call the time of Jacob's trouble. 1 week, you have 7 days, which is why the time of Jacob's trouble is what? 7 years. So he confirms the covenant because he's acting as the priest, the high priest. So let's get a better understanding of this covenant. It's a false gospel. You have a false gospel, which means you have a false Christ. Let me let my windows up. Y'all still with me even though it's dark? And I will establish my covenant with you. So we're talking about the covenant, it's talking about also my covenant, because it's God's covenant. Neither shall all flesh be cut off anymore by the waters of a flood, neither shall there anymore be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, this is the token of the covenant. So my covenant is the covenant, right? Which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. Now we know what this is referring to, right? I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud over the earth that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, and the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. You ever had a rainbow show up and you felt like that rainbow was specifically for you? That's God letting you know, like, hey, I see you. I see you. And I remember just sitting there and seeing these beautiful rainbows after it rained. It's just like, God, like, here you go, my son. It was just like nobody else was around. It was just so peaceful. Because God was specifically, speaking. And this is before I knew all this stuff. But it's like God was getting my attention. Let me know, like, hey, I got a covenant with you. I got a covenant with your people. I'm going to reveal it to you in due time. But not right now, it ain't your timing. And then, eventually I came to the revelation of the different things that I now know. But we know they have hijacked the rainbow, which is a sign of the times. It's a sign of their covenant, of their coming Messiah. But without faith, it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. By faith, Noah, being warned of God of things not seen as yet, moved with fear, prepared an ark to the saving of his house, by the which he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness which is by faith. Getting ahead of myself. Noah believed God. He believed the words of God. Noah knew the gospel. It's just that in his time, Christ did not come the way that he came in our time, to be crucified. Noah knew the gospel. It says by faith. Faith in what? I'm going to destroy the world and I'm still going to raise up seed. Christ's lineage traces all the way back to Noah, tracing all the way back to Adam, right? And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, hold on, make sure. Okay. And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, the Lord appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty God, walk before me and be thou perfect. And I will make my covenant between me and thee and will multiply thee exceedingly. It's the same covenant. It's the same covenant, y'all. And Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, as for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. But in that covenant, you have many different, we're going to say, stipulations or different things. So throughout the generation, more of these things get revealed what's in the covenant. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be called Abraham. For a father of many nations have I made thee, and I will make thee exceeding fruitful. And I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee in their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee and to thy seed after thee. And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. And God said unto Abraham, thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore, thou and thy seed after thee in their generations. This is my covenant, which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised, and ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you. Now remember, the promises were made to Abraham in uncircumcision, but the sign of that covenant, the sealing of it, was the circumcision of the foreskin. The reason that it was made when Abraham was uncircumcised, so that he could be the father in faith to both the circumcised, those of the circumcision, Jews, and the uncircumcised, the Gentiles. Even as Abraham believed God, and it was accounted to him for righteousness. Know ye therefore that they which are of faith, the same are the children of Abraham. And the scripture, foreseeing that God would justify the heathen through faith, preached before the gospel unto Abraham, saying, in thee shall all nations be blessed. That's the scripture it's referencing. Now that's New Testament we just read. That's Galatians chapter 3. Verses, I think, 6, 7, 8. But what we read before was Genesis 17. But Galatians 3 is referencing back to Genesis 17, what we read. So back in Genesis 17, and also in some other places I can show y'all, and I've shown you before, God was preaching the gospel to Abraham and giving him understanding of what was going to happen. So if God did that with Abraham, then he did it with who? He did it with Noah. He also did it with Lucifer. That's why when Christ showed up, Lucifer was quoting scriptures because he already knew what was going to happen. If you be the son Son of man, you be the son of God. Do this, do that. But he didn't really believe, like, man, this can't be him. Because the word tells us that if they knew, then they wouldn't have crucified him. So Christ got them at their own game they were trying to play. And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant. He took the what? The book of the covenant. So again, he shall confirm the covenant with many. Meaning what? Many nations. What covenant? This covenant that God put forth. Because he's coming as the Savior of the world. And he's going to reestablish the law and the sacrifices. And they're going to be making the sacrifices to him. As he sits on the throne like he's God. At first, it's going to be like, okay, they're going to be doing this. Dang. It's a bug in here or something. Try to get me. It's dark too. I don't play that. At first, they're going to be making the sacrifices as like they're making them to God, but they're not really going to be making them to God. And then it's going to get worse, and then he's like, look, I am the Messiah. Make those sacrifices to me. And the people are going to receive him as such. And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. Okay. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people. So the focus is on Israel. You don't think Satan knows who true Israel is according to the flesh? And they said, all that the Lord hath said we will do, and be obedient. So the people are going to be obeying the Antichrist during this time period. They're not going to have peace. They're going to have a fake, false peace. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people. Oh my God, that's deep right there. That's a sermon in itself. What they doing with what they say is in the you know what? Demon juice? Alien DNA? Y'all ain't gotta give me my credit about the mark of the beast, even though I've been prophesying it for over 5 years. God gonna make sure it gets squared away. I've been telling y'all this, prophesying this for years. That's like my baby. Y'all know when it comes to that mark of the beast, that's like I get upset when I think about it, because people out here stealing. They are stealing. They riding the wave, and it is what it is. It is what it is. But y'all know. I get defensive when it comes to the mark of the beast stuff, because y'all know how long I've been preaching about it and prophesying about it boldly. And the same stuff I was talking about, now all of a sudden everybody want to talk about it. And most people talking about it, they ain't even legit. That's what pisses me off the most. So the blood was sprinkled on the people, right? And they're messing with the blood when it comes to the, the change-o. That's what we call it now, the change-o DNA. Shout out to Brother Ollie for that one. Behold, the blood of the covenant. So a covenant is sealed with blood. Which the Lord hath made with you concerning all these words. So a blood covenant is a word covenant. It's a binding of words with blood, because life is in the blood, and blood is words. DNA is words. You're binding yourself together. You're binding your life. You're binding your DNA together with somebody. In this case, we've bounded our DNA back to Christ's DNA, because that's the DNA that we originally came from. And they are binding their DNA to their Father, their Christ, because that's where they originally came from. And then you have those that was originally a part of Christ, who now say, I don't want anything to do with Christ. And then they are completely binding themselves with the DNA, a blood oath, blood pact with the devil. How deep you want to go? So I tell you, witchcraft is about words. It's about words. Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he had offered Isaac his son upon the altar? We know that story, right? We know the story. Abraham was going to offer up his son, and the ram was caught in the thicket. But he was going to offer him on the what? On the altar. But remember, everything that's here in this physical world is a shadow of heavenly things. Satan, in the heavenly realm, he sat on, I'm going to say, Christ's throne specifically, as if he was Christ. And he offered up strange fire on the altar of God in the heavenly realm when he wasn't supposed to. You don't believe me? I'm going to give you some more scriptures to prove it, if you don't already see it. Because remember, if Satan is going to declare himself as God in the temple of God here on earth, then I mean he did it in the heavenly realm. But I got the scriptures for you. And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein. Remember, your heart, this is a powerful revelation that I'll never forget. Your heart has 4 chambers. And if you listen to a heartbeat, it's, do you know what it's saying? Holy, holy. Your heart is literally saying that. You have 4 chambers because you have the 4 beasts surrounding the throne. The Holy of Holies, your heart. And what are the 4 beasts? Holy, 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 day and night. What's your heart do? Holy, 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 day and night. That's what your heart is saying. Those 4 chambers. Think about that. Rise and measure the temple of God and the altar and them that worship therein. Who's worshiping your temple? Who's worshiping in the Holy of Holies? Where the altar is at? Offering, what sacrifice are they offering up on the altar of God? But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. In the holy city shall they tread under foot 42 months. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer. And there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all saints upon the golden altar, which was what? Before the throne. So if the altar is in the Holy of Holies, which is in your heart, right? So it's a microcosm, macrocosm. There's a throne in your heart. Who sits on the throne? We say that all the time, right? Who sits on the throne in your heart? I'm not just saying it to say that. Now, some people just say it because, it sounds good, but we're getting the deeper wisdom, the higher education. So not only is there a throne there, you can say there's, depending on how you look at it. We're gonna say one throne. I'm not gonna get too deep into that because I don't want to say something and then I don't want to say something and then go too deep and then not explain it enough. So I'm gonna leave that alone with it. We're gonna say it's one throne, but that I'm gonna say this. We know about one throne, but there are multiple thrones that people sit on in heaven. Even God's throne. You have the throne of the Father, you have the throne of Christ, you have the throne of the Holy Ghost, you even have the throne of Melchizedek. We did a sermon on that, right? You have one spirit, but the Bible tells us in the book of Revelation, 7 spirits of God. You see what I'm saying? So I'm gonna leave it at that. But the point I want you to see is that the golden altar, which is where the sacrifices are made, it was before the throne. For when Moses had spoken every precept to all the people according to the law, he took the blood of calves and of goats with water and scarlet wool and hyssop and sprinkled both the book and the people. So it's being cleansed, right? By the sprinkling of the blood. Blood is water. Washing by the water of the word, right? Saying, this is the blood of the testament which God hath enjoined unto you. So it was symbolizing that, hey, this is the blood of the testament. We're one. That's why he said don't eat the blood and the food and everything. Because you literally become one with that. And if you're not over that, the thing which you eat is not more powerful. The thing which you eat, if the thing you eat is more powerful than you, because you're still in a beastly state, then you literally become what you're eating. That's where they get that from. You are what you eat. No, I'm not what I eat. I'm not a spinach. I'm more powerful than the spinach. The spinach becomes one with me. Not the other way around. The chicken becomes one with me. I don't become a chicken. But if the chicken is a more powerful beast because it has more authority than the person eating it, then the person is eating it, they become one with what they're eating. And therefore, they become one with the God that's attached to that food that's offered up as a sacrifice to their God. Which is why it said don't be eating this food sacrificed to idols, because a lot of y'all ain't ready to handle that stuff. Stomach growling right now. Have you heard that? Like, yeah, come on. And I want to go in more detail on that, but we're going to keep it rolling. Again, saying, this is the blood of the testament which God hath enjoined unto you. Moreover, he sprinkled with blood both the tabernacle, okay, and all the vessels of the ministry. So he's sprinkling everything with blood. Because it's all, it's all enjoined with the blood of the testament. In almost all things, it'd be killing me when they have AAA words, like repeat, it start with the same letter. In almost all things are by the law purged with blood. And without shedding of blood is no remission. No remission of what? No remission of sins. Why blood got to be shed? Why does life have to be sacrificed? Because he told you. Not too hard to figure out. It was therefore necessary that the patterns of things in the heavens should be purified with these. What? The things that are here on earth are a pattern of things in heaven. But the heavenly things themselves with better sacrifices than these. So the things in heaven have to be purified too. And the things here on earth, they are a pattern of the heavenly things that have to be purified with something greater, which is the blood of Christ. So for the time being, you have the blood of the animals and everything, right? But Christ is the greatest sacrifice in all that. So he purifies not only the unclean things here on earth, but also the unclean things here there in heaven. So why would Christ have to sprinkle the blood in the mercy seat if the mercy seat was not unclean? So then we have to ask ourselves, well, how did the mercy seat become unclean? Because there was strange fire that was offered on the altar, which was making everything unclean. It was spreading because of what Satan did. Well, Lucifer to become Satan. How deep do you want to go? If y'all recall, I'll be telling y'all. I say it, don't I? I said there are things that I want to tell you that I cannot tell you right now because the timing is not right. And this is one of those things. Because when you start to understand these things and you start to put the pieces together, you're like, oh my God, I see what's really going on. And the whole point is to, obviously, so you can be edified. Because I want you to get the higher education, the higher learning. But so you can have a deeper respect for the gospel and a deeper respect for the sacrifice that Christ made. And y'all know I ain't going to tell you nothing without being able to back it up with scriptures. And all you got to do is go ask God. If you say you had a relationship that you say you have with God, with Christ, then they'll tell you the same thing. And they're going to tell it to you in a way that you can understand it. I can only preach according to the understanding that I have. The gospel, I say the gospel according to Kelson King. Just like if I go to somebody else's ministry, I'm reading their account of the gospel according to them. There are going to be things that are different, but okay, what is the gospel? What are they saying about the gospel? Now they got another Jesus. Because they have to speak it. You have to speak it in the way that you understand it within yourself, and then you relay it to others in the way that only you can tell it. But yet, the way you're telling it doesn't contradict the way that I'm telling it and what I'm saying. And that's the beauty of the gospel. That's the beauty of the sacrifice that Christ made. Where we can have a Gentile sister in Christ who grew up in the KKK. And we talk on the phone, it's like, you can't tell me that ain't family. You can't tell me she ain't family. We just connect. But we come from two different walks of life. She grew up in the KKK. I didn't even grow up around racism, bruh. I didn't really know what racism was until really after I got saved. I saw it every now and then, people talk about it, but my mentality and my thinking was different because I didn't grow up like that. I'm not going to apologize for it. I didn't grow up in the hood, but I was in the hood. You always want to connect with your people. I grew up like, you could say, almost like Abraham. I wasn't, rich like Abraham, but a brother didn't miss no meal. A brother, got pictures from when he was yay high in front of Mercedes Benzes and BMWs and Volvos and all these different cars when folks wouldn't even ride around like that. I grew up on that stuff. And the devil know how to get me because, I love my chariots. I love cars. I love vehicles. Not in that sense, but it's a form of art to me. That's how I like to express myself. Well, one of the ways I like to express myself artistically is with vehicles. Some people paint, some people make music. For me, it's cars. I like all the pieces that come together to make up a complete picture. It's like a puzzle. But I can go on and on with that. But for Christ has not entered into the holy places made with hands, which are what? The figures of the true. But into heaven itself, now to appear in the presence of God for us. So why did Christ have to sprinkle the blood of the mercy if it was clean? So what happened for it to become unclean? It wasn't clean like he wanted it to be. That strange fire that spread. It spread. Nor yet that he should offer himself often, as the high priest entereth into the holy place every year with blood of others. For then must he often have suffered since the foundation of the world. So what? So then must he have often suffered since the foundation of the world. Meaning that he would have had the been crucified ever since God created the world. Christ would have had to been crucified over and over and over and over and over again. So Christ could have came at any time he wanted to. He could have came when the foundations of the world were first made. He could have came, later, but he came when he was supposed to come. But now, once in the end of the world, hath he appeared to put away sin by the sacrifice of himself. What he sacrificed himself on? The altar. Why did he sacrifice himself on the altar in the heavenly realm? Because it was unclean. The lamb. Remember in the book of Revelation, he said that he saw the lamb with 7 eyes. 7 eyes. 7 eyes, 7 churches, because he gave himself for the church. To purify the altar, because the altar is where we're supposed to be making the sacrifices, but we are the ones, because of our sins, that made the altar unclean, just as Satan, with what he did, he made the altar unclean, which in essence made the throne unclean. Because the altar is before the throne, and God is looking at the throne. God is looking at the altar like, this is unclean. I don't want to see this. This is before my presence. Let me calm down. I know how I get. And as it is appointed unto men once to die, but after this the judgment. So Christ was once offered to bear the sins of many, and unto them that look for him shall he appear the second time without sin unto salvation. So he ain't coming, he ain't coming the second time to take away the sins like that. And thou shalt make the 7 lamps thereof, and they shall light the lamps thereof. 7 lamps, 7 churches, a pattern of heavenly things, which is why in the book of Revelation you see John the Revelator go to the heavenly realm. He saw 7 lamps of fire, 7 churches, 7 angels, 7 thunders before the throne, right? And they shall light the lamps thereof, that they may give light over against it. And the tongs thereof, and the snuff dishes thereof, shall be of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold shall he make it with all the vessels. And look that thou make them after their pattern, which will show thee in the mount. Hey, Moses, when you make these, make sure you make them according to what I showed you and what you saw, which is based off of the true thing, which is in the heavenly realm. Yea, ye took up the tabernacle of Moloch, and the star of your god Remphan, figures which ye made to worship them, and I will carry you away beyond Babylon. Our fathers had the tabernacle of witness in the wilderness, as he had appointed, speaking unto Moses, that he should make it according to the fashion that he had seen. And he shall take of the blood of the bullock, and sprinkle it with his finger upon the mercy seat eastward. So this is Old Testament. He's taking the blood of bullock, and he's sprinkling it with his finger upon the mercy seat eastward. He's sprinkling it on the mercy seat. This is where we get that from. He's sprinkling the blood on the mercy seat to do what? So that it's sanctified and it's purified and make sure it's clean. So what did Christ do? With his blood, he sprinkled it on the mercy seat in what we would say the third heaven, to sanctify, purify, and make sure, hey, we good to go. If, ands, or buts, we cleaning everything. It's like, yeah, my armpits stink. I need to get in the shower. You gonna wash just your armpits, you're gonna wash your whole body. Obviously, you're gonna wash everything. Man, my hands stink. I've been working. My hands stink. I'm finna get in the shower. Obviously, you know what I'm saying, you just wash your hands whether you wash your hands. But if If you get in the shower, you're just gonna wash your hands. Yeah, my arms don't stink. You know, my butt don't stink. My balls don't stink. But I'm not gonna wash them. I'm just gonna wash my hands because my hands, man, they stink. Whatever I was messing with, my hands stink. No, you're gonna do what? You're gonna wash everything because filth spreads. Your hands stink. That you touch something else, and you're like, man, dang. You see what I'm saying? So he was cleansing everything. One thing was dirty, so guess what? Everything was dirty to him, unclean. It wasn't as clean as it should be. And before the mercy seat shall he sprinkle of the blood with his finger 7 times. Why is it 7 times? With the finger, it's like a writing or something. 7 times because you got 7 churches. 7 churches, 7 golden candlesticks. Then shall he kill the goat of the sin offering that is for the people, and bring his blood within the veil, and do with that blood as he did with the blood of the bullock, and sprinkle it upon the mercy seat, and before the mercy seat. So upon it and before it, everything getting cleansed. And he shall make an atonement for the holy place because of the uncleanness of the children of Israel. So why did he get dirty? Because of the uncleanness of the children of Israel, and because of their transgressions in all their sins. And so he shall do for the tabernacle of the congregation that remaineth among them in the midst of their uncleanness. And what do we just realize, and what do we just see? That Satan was and is, you can say, a Hebrew. Now you can argue and say, is he a Hebrew Israelite? But the nigga a Hebrew. He can lay hold to that lineage. That's why it references him as the Assyrian. The Assyrians come from Assur, or Ashur, however you want to pronounce it, who was a son of who? Of Shem, the Shemites. There are no Hebrews without Shem. There are no Shemites also without Eber, which some people make the argument that's where the term Hebrew came from Eber, who is also a Shemite, or vice versa, however you want to put it, same lineage. The Bible is not just referencing Satan as the Assyrian for no reason, or it just sounds good because the nature of the Assyrians. No, it's deeper than that. The nigger, that what he is, a nigger. The basis of the base is a Hebrew at the least. And you can make the argument that he is a Hebrew Israelite. And I would go even further, say he's Hebrew from the lineage of Shem, Israelite, Esau. You get all that in him. Even though, they were twins. But y'all say that one of them was white. Esau was white, but Esau came out first. So what you're saying, that Esau is a white man, the white man has a birthright first? That's what you're saying? I guess. But then y'all say the white man can't be saved? And there shall be no man in the tabernacle of the congregation when he goeth in to make an atonement in the holy place, until he come out, and have made an atonement for himself and for his household, and for all the congregation of Israel. Satan was offering strange fire on the altar. How did he do that? Did he literally do it before the throne of God? Yes, he did. But more importantly, he did it. More important in the context for you, he did it within his heart. Within his heart, in the Holy of Holies, exalting himself over the Most High within his heart, and burning strange fire to gods that he pretty much created, or these old gods before him, that some of you, hey, I don't want to get too deep now. Not on that. I don't want to get too deep on that now. Y'all just think it was just Satan? The Bible mentions that there was ones before him. And they say, hey, you like us now, huh? Who these 4 angels bound up under the river Euphrates? What did they do? And there are other examples. And I mentioned it before, but we're going to keep on going. Y'all know I'm going to give you some things to research. Get your spiritual wheels moving so you can go study this stuff. Where we at? Okay, and he shall go out unto the altar that is before the Lord. And make an atonement for it. Make an atonement for the altar? Well, you're making an atonement for the altar if the altar is dirty. Why would it be dirty? Well, because of all the sins that are put upon it. So it has to be cleansed too. And the sins transfer from there, and they put their hands on the scapegoat, the goat, we get the term scapegoat, and then it's sent off into the wilderness. That's why the Bible speaks about be careful, laying on a hand, stuff like that. Not just, saying laying on hand, you get ready to fight somebody, but also, somebody laying hands on you because they'll transfer stuff to you. Oh, so much I could speak on. I'll be here for like 4 or 5 hours. I'm already an hour and 46 minutes in. It's just so much I be wanting to say. So again, and he shall go out unto the altar that is before the Lord and make an atonement for it. Make an atonement for what? For the altar that's before the Lord. And shall take of the blood of the bullock and of the goat and of the blood of the goat and put it upon the horns of the altar round about. And he shall sprinkle of the blood upon it with fingers 7 times and cleanse it and hallow it from the uncleanness of the children of Israel. So all the stuff is getting dirty because of sin. That's why you have to have the stuff purified. That's why you see fire around God, because it purifies. Don't even give it a chance to even do anything. Like the bleach is there. The bleach just kill it. You know how bleach. Just an example, y'all. And when he hath made an end of reconciling the holy place, isn't that what Christ is doing? Is reconciling us? So the same thing is happening in the heavenly realm. You have a reconciling of the holy place and the tabernacle of the congregation and the altar. He shall bring the live goat. So after all this happens, what happens? The live goat, what we call the scapegoat. And Aaron shall lay both his hands upon the head of the live goat and confess over him all the iniquities of the children of Israel and all their transgressions in all their sins, putting them upon the head of the goat. This goat crazy. Satan is crazy. The goat of Mendes, he's crazy. He got all these sins of the people in him, like he's a savior. So you gotta be careful what you eat. That's why he said some of you are sick, because you're eating what you're eating unfaithfully. And this food, they're offering it to their gods. And if you're not in the right standing, that means that these gods have more power over you, and there are consequences to that. I don't care if you're saved or not. Don't act like you ain't never did nothing and then you got in trouble for it. You're like, oh God, what happened? I'm saved though. I'm saved. Because you weren't in right standing. Which is why he said what he said. Some of you are sick and some are even dead. They're asleep. Because they are eating unworthily and drinking unworthily. They're talking about, brotherly love and everything, but they weren't showing brotherly love. And so they ate this food or they drank it or whatever, and they brought condemnation upon themselves because of Christ. They're eating and drinking of his body unworthily. And also in context of what we're speaking about today, they're praying over this food. They're offering it to their gods. And this food has sin in it. As sin, the sin is being put in the animals, and then the people are eating it. That's why you see people eating bloody meat and everything. Like, we don't get down like that. I'm obedient to the scriptures. Cook that blood out of it, because once that fire hits it, it changes. It changes. I think it's just so. I gotta keep on going. In all their transgressions, in all their sins, putting them upon the head of the goat, and shall send him away by the hand of a fit man into the wilderness. And the goat shall bear upon him all their iniquities unto a land not inhabited, and he shall let go the goat in the wilderness, in an uninhabited land, in a wasteland. That's why if you reject the gospel, you go to hell. Notice it had to be a fit man. It couldn't be another animal that did it. But when you are lesser than that which you are eating, then you are subject to that animal, or you are subject to everything that's attached to that animal. But man was made to be ruler over the beast. Man's sin brought man lower. I say this all the time. I tell you this because it's relevant to the things we've been talking about. Lower than a serpent. Because remember that God told the serpent that he was going to make him lower than the cattle. And if man fell because he was obedient to Adam and Eve, were obedient to the serpent, that means that man became subjected and under the power and authority of the serpent. So the serpent, in essence, he got back in the position that the man was in, that he was originally in, and then the man is way down here. Even though the serpent is still a serpent, the serpent still has the authority, because the authority transferred by the disobedience of man, who was given dominion over all the cattle and over all the beasts and everything. Right? So that's what's going on right there. Y'all give me a second. Let me plug my phone up. I don't want to die. Y'all give me a second. Thank you for bearing with me. Hope this is edifying you. Hope this is edifying you. All right. Let's get back to it. Turn this light back off. I want my battery to die. Like I said, y'all know what I look like. You can hear me. Holla if you hear me. All right, let's keep on going. We're going to address a little bit more about the devil. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus. The king of Tyrus, he was a literal king back then. But he's also a king that was a king before. And a king that's going to be a king in the future, ruling over the world. But what you're going to see is the scriptures reference Satan as the king of Tyrus. But it's using the king of Tyrus as an example, like, hey, this is the devil. As I mentioned before, one of the curses that's upon the devil is that he must die over and over again. Everybody he loves, he sees they die. Everything he builds up, it gets destroyed. That's a nightmare. That's a living hell. And that's part of his curse because of what he did. And that gets into the whole, vampire thing. That's why I hated. I loved it because of what they portrayed and how they portrayed it, the Twilight series. But I hated it because it was so real. If you get what I'm saying. Like, it was so real. It was like I was so mad at her because I knew it was so true what she was doing and what was going on. I'm like, man, this is, if y'all knew how real Twilight is, Twilight real, bro. The Twilight series, that's probably like the best series in regards to depicting vampires and everything that's going on, vampires and werewolves. It's probably the best series I've seen, but one of the best movies. I even seen a movie where when I seen it, it scared the bejeebies out of me. And I never understood why. And I grew up on sci-fi, scary movies and everything. I grew up on that stuff. So, you become desensitized to it. But when I seen one werewolf movie, it creeped me out. And I didn't understand why until I had like a great personal revelation that God gave me. And I, just now thinking about it right now, I'm like, oh my God. I was doing some research and they was talking about werewolves and stuff, and they mentioned a werewolf movie, and I'm like, okay. And they were pretty much saying that, yeah, people think, they wonder why it was so real, and they don't realize that the story goes that in this certain scene of the werewolf transforming, it was so real because it was real. But a lot of people didn't know that it was a real werewolf that was transformed. They're like, man, what type of, technology is this or whatever? But the man, he literally changed into a werewolf, and they used that in the scene in the movie. And I remember the movie, I was like, oh my God. I remember that movie, and I had chills for so long because I'm like, I remember that, but I'm like, man, something ain't right about that. It was like my spiritual antenna, before I even had a spiritual antenna, I knew I had one, was going off like, that's a devil, that's a real werewolf. A devil werewolf, because you can have what we consider werewolves that transform, but that's for another video. God's creatures, I tell you this, God's creatures can shapeshift. If an angel can come in the form of a man, then that's shapeshifting. You see, the problem is we'll take one thing and then shapeshift. Devil, 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 devil. So everything that shapeshifts is of the devil. When you see these crazy creatures in the Bible and then they end up walking around like men and stuff, or they're men. But in that spiritual world, that's kind of like how they look, depending on the realm that you're looking in. You'll see them as such. These great, marvelous creatures. Where people have even correlated Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John to the creatures that are before the Lord that had the four faces. Or Freemasonry. Oh, Freemasonry. Devil, 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 devil. If the Bible teaches Freemasonry. Free in Christ. Mason, builders. Free builders in Christ. Liberty in Christ. Christ being the chief cornerstone. Where do you think they got all that stuff from? So going back to the scripture, because I don't want to go too far off. Because we're already probably going to be 2 hours and 30 minutes in. But hey, I got to get this out here because tomorrow ain't promised. At least not fleshly. Tomorrow promising, eternal life. But I could die tonight, anything. And I'm not living with no regrets. Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus, and say unto him, Thus saith the Lord God, Thou sealest up the sum, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. He was in Eden, king of Tyrus. So when Eve was speaking to the serpent, she was speaking to a king. She wasn't speaking to no snake. She was speaking to a man who God sees and saw as a snake because of what he was doing. So at this time, God didn't completely strip Satan of his covering, these stones and everything, this beauty that he had. He wasn't completely stripped of that. He didn't have the same rank. That's why he did what he did with Adam and Eve, so he can get back to that rank, that power and authority. So yes, God was gracious and God did have mercy on Satan. He just spit in God's face. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering, the sardius, topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle, and the gold. Again, these are all things that relate to priesthood. and being a priest of Israel. The workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou wast created. He was a leader. People talk about choir director and everything. I don't necessarily buy that the way that people put it forth. The man was a leader. He led the people. If he needed to lead the people in singing and army march and cadence and everything, then that's what he did. Thou art the anointed cherub that covereth. He was a great tree that covered. And God was supposed to be sitting on his throne, chilling, and at this great tree. Hey, you got watch. Just like you have generals. Do they always go on the battlefield? They sitting in the meeting rooms in chairs. They got a table with chairs. And they're planning out the mission for the soldiers to go, no matter what their rank is. Now, they will get out here and get it out the mud. They will get out here and die with their soldiers. But they've done all that. So they don't necessarily have to. But they will. And that's what Christ did. Christ like, man, I did all that. But now I have to. I'm going to come down with y'all and I'm going to die for you. Thou art the anointed cherub that covereth, and I have set thee so. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of God. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. Thou wast perfect in thy ways from the day that thou wast created, till iniquity was found in thee. God did not create Satan evil. He created him good. So, as I told you before, for Satan, let's make sure we phrase it right. For Lucifer to become Satan by choosing to do evil when he was created perfect from the day that he was created, tells you that evil was already there before Lucifer was. And evil is a creature that God created. It's a being. It's not, I can't explain how people, but y'all know what I'm talking about. People, the devil is evil. Like, the devil is evil. Like, there's no evil without the devil. That's not what the Bible teaches. Evil was already there. Again, for the devil to become the devil, he had to be able to choose evil, which means that evil was already there, which is why you see in the book of Revelation, it talks about death and hell followed him. The rider on the horse. His name was death. It's a being. By the multitude of thy merchandise, they have filled the midst of thee with violence, and thou hast sinned. What did he say? He said the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence. So how did it suffer violence? Because of the amass amount of riches that the devil had and has, and more so the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that he had and has, being able to bring more financial gain to the people, and the people started trusting in the devil. He got the big head, the super big head, more than they were trusting in God, because he was not pointing them to the Lord, but pointing people to himself and pretty much taking the glory for himself. By the multitude of thy merchandise, they have filled the midst of thee with violence. Because when people get money, they think they can do anything they want to, right? When people get money, they think they can do any and everything they want to, right? And thou hast sinned. Therefore I will cast thee as profane out of the mountain of God, and I will destroy thee, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. He was right there with God, which means he was right there before the throne, which means he was right there before the altar. He defiled it. Not only within himself, but God's altar that was right there. He was putting the physical things over the spiritual. Thine heart was lifted up because of thy beauty. Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness. I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before kings, that they may behold thee. Thou hast defiled thy sanctuaries. Lucifer has sanctuaries that he defiled? If there were sanctuaries, there was altars. How deep you want to go? And there was altars, there was sacrifices. And who were these sacrifices made to? Thou hast defiled thy sanctuaries by the multitude of thine iniquities, by the iniquity of thy traffic, or the iniquity of his trade. He wasn't trading righteousness, he was trading sin. Therefore will I bring forth a fire from the midst of thee, which is what we call today spontaneous combustion. It shall devour thee, and I will bring thee to ashes. Because he wants the phoenix rising from the ashes, right? He goes, I'm gonna show you. Upon the earth in the sight of all them that behold thee. And they that know thee among the people shall be astonished at thee. Thou shalt be a terror, and never shalt thou be any more. That's when they're going to look upon him and say, this the man? This him? We thought he was the Christ. We thought he was the powerful one. He's weaker than us. And we were bowing down and worshiping him. To everything there is a season and a time, to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to get and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to rend and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace. So there's a time for everything, right? Pretty straightforward. Oh, give them the gospel and love on them 24/7. No, that's not what the Bible says. The Bible says there's a time for peace and there's a time for war. So we give them peace. They don't want peace. Then guess what? They wrote their own war check. And we're going to cash it for them. It's simple as that. Wisdom is better than weapons of war. Wisdom is better than weapons of war. But one sinner destroyeth much good. So when that sinner comes in and destroying all this good, then you got to bring the war. You can't reason with them with wisdom. You got to bring forth brute force. And this is what we're doing. We're bringing forth brute force with the word of God, the sword of the Spirit. Why do you think we got on armor? Keep on telling y'all that. What's the purpose of having on armor if you're not at war? Stop reading the Bible from the perspective of a civilian. Read it from the perspective of a soldier of Christ, and it will open up even more for you. And he said unto them, in what place soever ye enter into a house, there abide till ye depart from that place. And whosoever shall not receive you, nor hear you, when ye depart thence, shake out the dust under your feet for a testimony against them. If they don't receive you, nor hear you, shake the dust off your feet. The dust of this place is not even worthy to be under my shoes. Verily I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. So the people that reject us, The people that reject us, who are the true believers of the Lord Jesus Christ, the true disciples, it's going to be more tolerable for Sodom and Gomorrah than for them. Ooh, 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 ooh. You smell that? That's stinky, stinky. Where we at? Okay, that was Mark. We're going to read it from Matthew. And into whatsoever city or town ye shall enter, inquire who in it is worthy, and there abide till ye go thence. And when ye come into an house, salute it. If look at the stipulation, and if the house be worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it be not worthy, let your peace return to you. So if you let your peace return to you, then what's upon it? War. War. And whosoever shall not receive you, nor hear your words, when ye depart out of that city or house, shake off the dust of your feet. Verily I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. So we go to our next scripture. He says, and he says, I am for peace, but when I speak, they are for war. When he speaks, they are for war. His words, they hated even to hear what he had to say, because it was going to convict them. I am for peace, but when I speak, they are for war. So if they are for war, he has to defend himself. He has to defend his people. He has to defend the throne. He has to defend the crown. He has to defend his God that put him on the crown. That put him on the throne and gave him the crown. Blessed be the Lord my strength, which teacheth my hands to war and my fingers to fight. Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh but in vain. Stay woke, they're woke in vain. Because the Lord is not watching over the house. He's not keeping their city. Stay woke. Oh, I'm woke. The woke culture. They have a form of awakening. They're watchmen on their walls. So now they're waking up and they're on the walls. They're watchmen. That's an act of war. It's different when you are asleep. You ain't gonna, you know what I'm saying, halfway fight somebody that's asleep. You trying to wake them up and save them. But when they awaken, ooh, that's deep right there too. When they awaken and now they're on their city walls, protecting what they stand for, what they believe in, then ain't no excuses for when they get this work. Ain't no excuses for when they get these spiritual hands. Ain't no excuses for when the slaughter comes, because they come to get us. They have willingly and knowingly joined the war, joined the battle. They're not in ignorance anymore. And we're already fighting, so we know what's up. So they're being recruited. Hey, you're on the side of the devil. Ain't got nothing to do with that. You should have thought about that before you signed up. And this is what's going on. So when they talk about they woke and everything, they let you know that, hey, we're soldiers of the Antichrist. It is vain for you to rise up early, to sit up late, to eat the bread of sorrow. So they stand up late and they studying everything. They putting all these videos and stuff out, deceiving people. That's an act of war, because we're dealing with words, y'all. Words. It's a military tactic. For so he giveth his beloved sleep. Lo, children are an heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. As arrows are in the hand of a mighty man, so are children of the youth. My two boys are weapons. Weapons of warfare. You got children? No, brother in Christ, he got little girl, got another one on the way. Those are weapons to be used in this warfare that we're fighting. It is what it is. Because guess what? If he don't protect his children the way he's supposed to, which he does, then what's going to happen? The enemy going to get them and use them as weapons of war, because we are at a war. So when they dropping these videos, they dropping this knowledge and this wisdom and understanding. I told y'all, I warned you years ago that this was going to happen, didn't I? What are they doing? They're recruiting people to fight with them, all so they can come against the true Christ. Which is why he said he was going to confirm the covenant with many. Because you notice all of them are tracing themselves back to the Bible. You got a lot of the Native American people talking about, yeah, we Hebrews and everything, but they're not worshiping the Most High. They stay talking about the Bible and the correlation between the two, but they still worshiping the elements. I wonder why. Happy is the man that hath his quiver full of them. You know, the quiver is a little thing that they wore, and they pull the arrows out. I got 2 of them, so, you know, my quiver is full with them 2 right there. I get some more, then, hey, I'll be even more happier because I got those weapons. They shall not be ashamed. I'm not ashamed that my children are weapons of warfare. But they shall speak with the enemies in the gate. I mean, we can stand before them. We're not cowering. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was there a place found any more in heaven. You can't be up here anymore. Some people say, oh, it's talking about the second heaven. Well, can you prove it's not talking about the third heaven where God dwells? Can you prove that? Because last time I checked, the book of Job says that Satan still has access to go before the Lord. And also other places, because he's the accuser of the brethren. So can you prove that this war does not break out in the third heaven also, and it's not going on in certain places? Obviously, it ain't going to be going right there where God is at. But it don't mean it can't be going on outside the gate, outside the city. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven. What was the voice speaking from? In heaven. Was the voice speaking from the second heaven or the third heaven? You tell me. Now is come salvation and strength in the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down. Didn't I just mention that? Aren't there other scriptures that talk about he accuses us before the Lord? Remember when, oh my God, who was it? The priest, he was anointed and appointed. And division took place. It was happening here on earth, but it was taking place in heaven. And the coal was put, and he was made clean. Stones of fire, the coals of fire that came off the altar. And the filthy clothes were taken off, and then the priestly garments were put on. And Satan got mad. He was throwing a pretty much a tirade. And you read the context of it, you can pretty much see that Christ told him to pretty much shut the hell up. I'm vouching for him. You remember that? Is that in Zephaniah or Zechariah? Some of you know. So he's accusing like, hey, you can't do this. He's filthy, he's dirty. He's not even supposed to be here. In his presence. This is a holy place. Just like Judas Iscariot. I wonder why. Hey, we this money, don't waste the oil. We need this money so we can sell. We need this oil so we can sell it to get money for the poor and stuff. He didn't care about the poor. He was better off being real. Like, dang, let me get a little bit so I can get a few dollars for myself. Let me get a little bit so I can get a few dollars for myself. God would have respected him more than that, than the way he was operating. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. Then he tells us, think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household, just like Judas Iscariot. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. That's war. And he that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me. He that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that loseth his life for my sake shall find it. He that receiveth you receiveth me, and he that receiveth me receiveth him that sent me. Salt is good, but if the salt have lost his saltness, wherewith will ye season it? Have salt in yourselves, and have peace one with another. Because you're supposed to have peace within you. Not, I'm going to go to this place, but then this place is destroyed, and now your peace is gone. From whence come wars and fightings among you? Come they not hence even of your lusts that war in your members? Ye lust and have not. Ye kill and desire to have and cannot obtain. Ye fight in war, yet ye have not because ye ask not. Ye ask and receive not because ye ask amiss, that ye may consume it upon your lust. Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with God? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of God. So they wanted the physical possessions, but they wanted them for the wrong reasons. And they were warring amongst each other. Oh, he got this, he got that, she got this, she got that. They think that, this not going back and forth. When that's not the way it was supposed to be. They wanted it for the wrong reasons, so they can be friends with the world and not receiving those things that they desired, so that they could be a benefit to the people of God. And a lot of stuff that I go through my life, you can pretty much say everything, it's to help me to understand the scriptures that much more from when I preach it. That's why I tell you that it's deeper than real estate. We know that real estate is lucrative. It's nice getting a check for a large amount of money, even if all that money ain't coming towards you, because people think, oh, you get a check from real estate. I haven't got my check yet because I ain't sold the house yet, but we pushing for it. But when I sell it, it's going to be at least a five-figure check. So you may say, oh my God, he got a 5-figure check. No, I did, but I didn't. All that money doesn't go to me. I got people I got to pay back. The money is reinvested. My profit may not be large. You know what I'm saying? I may not make, a lot of money off of it in regards to profit that I'm making, from it that I take home, or the corporation, because technically it's not me, but it's, the business and everything. Because I volunteer my time, 100% of my time. I don't get a salary, but you gotta know how to finesse the game with wisdom. But yeah, me going through this, it's nice to get a large check and see that check, but that doesn't mean that I'm gonna get all that money. I got other people involved. And what I'm seeing is that what I'm going through is to help establish and show the people the way it's supposed to be. Because my heart is pure in what I'm doing. I'm doing this to help the people. I'm doing this to help my mother-in-law, and obviously I'm doing it to help myself. I'm not finna sit here and flex. I'm not finna sit here and flex and say, hey, when my money get up there, I ain't gonna, you know what I'm saying, buy me whatever. I'm not finna sit here and lie. I'm not finna sit here and lie to you. But if I'm doing it, I'm doing something, I'm doing it with a purpose. All you gotta do is come and ask me. So, like I tell you, if you see me at a certain point in time riding around a Lamborghini, don't be like this. Come and ask me, like, hey, what's going on? Why you got a Lamborghini? Well, because I'm selling it to the rich folks and I got a car dealership. And I'm getting their money so I can turn around and use it to bless people like you. You want me to take the money from you that you don't even have it? And I like cars. Problem with that? I didn't rob nobody. How about you ask, instead of you coming at me sideways, how about you come at me in a business aspect and say, hey, how can I do business with you? Or how about you ask me about the other brothers and sisters that are involved that are being blessed by it also? We're doing business together, and that's the point I want to make. Because that's what the Lord has been showing me. That they were warring amongst each other. And they were not coming together because they had peace within themselves to be able to do business and do business the right way. Rather, spiritual business or physical business that's going to benefit the body of believers. I'm the people I'm doing business with, almost every one of them, 2 of them I know for, well, more than 2, let's see, 1, 2, we're going to say at least 3 of them, I ain't going to mention my name, but 3 of them that I deal with on a daily basis. Believers. And I got other people that I speak to on a almost daily basis. They say they are believers. So I have peace within myself. They have peace within themselves. And we all doing business together. And everybody's straight. It ain't no arguing, it ain't no lusting, you know what I'm saying? Because our own lust within ourselves. As I was telling the brother in Christ, he was like, when we first started, I asked him, I said, how much you charge? He's like, man, usually I charge this amount of money, or this percentage, which relates to money. He said, but don't worry about that. I said, no. We gonna do it the right way. I said, okay, if you charge that much, I'm gonna give you this much. So what he asked, or what he said his fee was, I was like, I'm gonna give you more. He was like, nah, man, nah. He was humble about it. I was like, nah. This is what the Lord has touched my heart. Say, hey, you blessing me. You ain't got to do what you're doing. I want to bless you too. He didn't know I was going to do that. He didn't fight against it either after the fact. He was like, appreciate it. Appreciate it. And then even after the fact, now that we're getting closer to hopefully getting a deal done, he was like, man, don't even worry about it. You straight. And I said, no, we got an agreement. I told you, I gave my word. This is what's it gonna be, brother. I could have been like, you know what? Yeah, I ain't gonna give. He said, I ain't gonna give him nothing. So guess what? I ain't gonna give him nothing. So we're not warring against each other. He ain't like, he looking at the bigger picture, cause he know that even let's say I do something crazy and I do him wrong, that's me. I gotta deal with that. Now he obviously will be hurt by it, just like I would be hurt by it. But he'll be like, well, I ain't gonna do business with him no more. The Lord still got him because he has peace within himself. And me and him having a conversation, and we was doing some numbers and stuff, and I'm looking at my numbers, and I'm like, man, I jacked some of these numbers up because my numbers were off. And I was trying to figure out how in the world were my numbers so off in regards to what he was putting forth. And I had to humble myself, and I messed up. It still eats me up, saying that my numbers were off more than what I expected them to be off. I knew they'd probably be off a little bit and everything, but I didn't expect them to be that off, and it bothered me. because me wanting to do the things the right way. And I thought I was doing things. I was recording everything and this and that, but it just what it was a labor. The labor got away from me, and I wasn't recording it like I was supposed to. And so when he was doing the numbers, he said, "Hey, this is what it is," but you saying this is what it is. This is hey. And so we were trying to figure it out, and it wasn't no animosity. I admitted, hey, I messed up. I did not calculate this the way that I calculated. But even then, there was no animosity. No, we weren't warring. We weren't, fighting and everything. He like, hey, it is what it is. It was a learning lesson. I humbled myself. I had to humble myself before this brother. I couldn't be like, yeah, whatever, this and that, because then he gonna see that. I'm like, dang. Okay, he's one way on the video, but I'm talking to this brother on a regular basis, and this nigga fake. You see what I'm saying? And that I am not. So, what am I going to do next time? I'm going to do better. I'm going to grow. I'm already growing. And even in that, the percentage on the ROI on this property is still higher than what the average person would get. So God gave me like a huge buffer. And even with my numbers not being matching up the way it was supposed to, the buffer is still like this. So if I didn't mess the numbers up with my labor costs and everything, then it was like almost, you could say, 100% ROI on this property we would have been at. Which is, you can pretty much say, unheard of to get 100% ROI. So even if we don't get 100% ROI, we still gonna be above the typical. I think he said was it like, he probably gonna get me. I think he said like 20%, brother. Like, you probably listening. 20%. We above that still. That's all the Lord, and everybody gonna eat good. But somebody gotta make the moves, and that's what we're doing. We're making these moves so that we can go ahead and get ourselves established by doing it, and then get more resources to be able to help other brothers and sisters in Christ. But I'm not going to get the money to be giving the money away like that. I'm not doing that. Because if that's the case, then you should go out here and you should, establish something and then build it up and then go give it away go give it all away like that and see what people do. Because when you give it to them like that and you're not established, then what ends up happening is when they end up messing it up. But because you've gone through what you've gone through, you have the experience, you have the wisdom, you have the knowledge, you have understanding, so your mistakes are going to be minimized and you're going to make better decisions. And so people can keep on coming back and feeding off of that. And then you teach them the fish, as we say. So then y'all can do business together, which ultimately benefits everybody. That's the way it's supposed to be. And this is what he was getting on them about, that they weren't doing that. They wanted the money and stuff like that so they can, be friends with the world. I want the resources. I want the money so I can do more things of the Lord and eat of the fruit of my labor while I do it. It's like if you go to work, you get a check and they give you a bonus. What do you say? Baby, we finna go out to eat or whatever. Or you may buy you something nice. But like I always tell you, when I talk about stuff like this, it's cool when I say I'm going to be doing this and doing that. But if I don't say that, and even when I do say it sometimes, if I say these certain things or whatever, people will be like, oh, see, this is what you about, this and that. But if I turn around and say, hey, when I make it, I got you. When I get to that point, I got you. Then that whole demeanor change, which exposes them in the first place. So guess what? You ain't getting nothing from me. You ain't getting nothing from me anyway. You can say what you want to about me. I don't give a care. I don't give a care. I don't give a care. I know what's up. The people that is surrounding me, and I'm surrounded around them, I know what's up. Just like the brother in Christ, when I'm preaching and everything, he probably listening to the video right now. He's sitting there, he's listening. When he was talking accounting and real estate And these different things, guess what? Hey, brother, I'm asking questions, taking notes. Hey. Yep. Oh, yeah, this not. I'm listening. I'm shutting up and I'm listening to this brother. Ain't no pride. I don't know. I'm learning. Teach me. Show me. Hey, you want to do it? You can do it, because I don't want to do everything. I want to do what I do. I don't want to be over there working at 1 o'clock in the morning. Not saying that he's over here doing it because he's in another state, but meaning I don't want to have to, I ain't trying to run everything. And being in control ain't about running everything. It's about delegating these different things to other people so that you have time to focus on growing people. Rather that's me in control of what I can be in control of, or rather that's him being in control of in his own kingdom of what he is in control of. Or the sisters in Christ being in control of what they can be in control of in their kingdom that God has given them, or I should say queendom. So I'm not going to read the rest of these scriptures because I think y'all pretty much get the point. I'm already 2 hours and 36 minutes in. But Christ is our peace. That's what the scriptures are telling us. Christ is our peace. And we get that peace through the gospel. And so the opposite of that is the fake peace, the false peace, with the false Messiah, false Christ. And many black pastors, many Hebrew Israelites that preach the word of God, they preach Christ, they're setting people up for this. They're setting people up for this false Christ, this false Messiah. And they're setting people up to have peace in a place and in a person that they shouldn't be having peace in. And not having peace within themselves, true peace within themselves through the true gospel. And so I think that's a good note to close it out on. But with that being said, God bless each and every one of you in Jesus Christ's name. As always, stay focused for Jesus. And as you know, the truth is not debated, it is declared.